Welcome back. I'm meteorologist Dan Henry. Thanks for joining me here on SNN overnight. As we're going into Sunday morning, we are keeping a close eye on Hurricane Irma, a major hurricane just off the northern coast of Cuba. So this is the very latest information as of the 11 p.m. Saturday night advisory. Winds of 120 miles per hour. Those remain steady. Pressure is still very low at 933 millibars. Movement now northwest at 6. This is the first time that we've actually seen evidence of that northwest movement reflected in the official forecast. So let's step forward over the next 24 hours and see what this new forecast cone has for us. So now, good news for Key West, at least a little bit of good news. A Category 3 storm expected for folks in the Keys, and then a Category 3 storm as well for folks near the Suncoast and also in Lee County and Collier County. The track has shifted slightly to the west, it seems, so now the center line takes the storm pretty much right over the coastal areas of Sarasota, whereas before it was in the middle of Sarasota County, about 15, 20 miles to the east. So the track has shifted about 20 miles west. And notice that probably about half the cone is over open ocean now. But the bottom line is, don't focus on just the center line or just the cone, because the size of the wind field is hundreds of miles wide. Okay, so hurricane force winds extend nearly 150 miles wide. So even if the storm shifts another 20 miles here, another 20 miles there, we're still getting hurricane force impacts here in Sarasota. But the good news is now, as of Sunday, 8 o'clock, that's probably when things would be the worst here in the Suncoast. Winds 120 miles per hour. And at the previous advisory, they were in the 140 miles per hour range. So really good news for us here. Things are trending a little bit better as of late Saturday night. Tropical storm force winds will still move in Sunday morning. That is a certainty, okay, folks? Another certainty is that we're going to see hurricane force winds Sunday afternoon. So once those tropical storm force winds start Sunday at 8 a.m. or so, get ready, because the next 36 hours you probably should not be leaving your house for any reason, okay? Because we literally could have 36 hours of tropical storm force impacts here across the Suncoast. Could have 18 hours of hurricane force winds. Storm surge up to 12 feet for folks along the coastal barrier islands, and up to 10 feet for areas along the Suncoast that are not on barrier islands. So very dangerous storm surge situation as well late Sunday, and then that will continue into the early part of Monday, and then I expect widespread flooding, especially in coastal areas, for at least a day afterwards in some spots. So here's the latest wind speeds across South Florida. This is as of late Saturday night. Sustained winds of tropical storm force already in Key West, and things are really going downhill fast there. 29 mile per hour sustained winds in West Palm, 20 here in Sarasota, relatively calm up in Tampa with 10 mile per hour winds. Satellite imagery shows just what we expected, this northern bump with the storm starting to move off the northern coast of Cuba and over those warm waters of the Florida Straits. The reason why I believe the National Hurricane Center has trended lower with the intensity projections is because the storm's wind field has sort of spread itself out so that it's even bigger than it was before. And it's really, really hard for a big storm like that to wrap all of its energy back around the center and really reorganize quickly. We see rapid intensification typically with small to medium-sized storms. If you remember, Hurricane Charlie back in 2004 intensified rapidly from a Category 2 to a Category 4. We're not really expecting that. We're expecting more of a gradual, slow intensification with this system, and it may actually run out of real estate before it's able to ramp back up to a Category 4, and that's at least what the current intensity projections hold. But it is possible the storm could become a Category 4 once again. But obviously right now the current projections are for a Category 3, and that is a decrease in the wind speeds, the wind speed estimates from what we had earlier. So good news overnight here. So live Doppler radar right now, we're actually going to show you this tornado watch first. This is in Charlotte County. This is in effect until early Sunday morning, and I do anticipate some more tornado watches being thrown up for folks along and to the east of the center part of the state, and even possibly here in the Suncoast, because we have rain on the way all night, folks, and it's going to be off and on periods of heavy showers, heavy thunderstorms, gusty winds, driving rain. I mean, it's just going to be nasty conditions. So if you are going to be out on the roadways, please exercise caution. And this is really a good display of how close the storm is. There's the eye of Hurricane Irma, major Hurricane Irma, record-setting Hurricane Irma here on the Key West radar. That's how close this storm is to us. It is really really crazy. This is happening. This is the crunch time for us here in the Suncoast. So sustained winds of 29 miles per hour in St. Pete as of late Saturday night, 20 in Sarasota. These are going to go up, but not until probably around 7 or 8 o'clock Sunday morning. So you do have some time, even though it's going to be really rainy overnight, to potentially get those last-minute preparations underway. Hurricane warning in effect for the entire Florida Peninsula, and then also part of the Panhandle and part of South Georgia. And as a reminder, if you're going to go out of Florida, if you're trying to get out of here, your time is almost run out, I have to say. But if you're going to get out of here, you need to get west of Panama City. Okay, that's the best place for you to be. So here's the European model as of late Saturday night. Notice that that's basically is essentially what exactly the National Hurricane Center is forecasting as well, with the eye of the storm pretty much passing right near Sarasota, Charlotte Harbor, and Tampa Bay on late Monday. And then as we go into Monday later on, I guess we see that the storm will potentially move up over the southeast. So, sorry, that was early Monday that the storm would be over us. I misspoke there. I was wondering about that. So the GFS, same thing. I think the GFS speeds it up just a little bit. So this is maybe 10 or 11 p.m. Sunday. There we get into Monday, and then things will be getting better for us on Monday. So around Sunday to 8 p.m., Monday to 2 a.m., that's probably the 6-hour window of worst impacts for us here in the Suncoast. As far as rain goes, we're going to see rain off and on for 36 to 48 hours from Irma, just because the storm is so big. 8 to 12 inches of accumulation here for what is already very saturated ground. So I do expect the flood warnings to be issued, and we will of course update you when those are brought out. Marco Lamano, Justin Mosley, and I all will be on call on Sunday all day to help you through the storm and stay with you just as long as we possibly can. And hopefully we will be able to stay on the air all the way until the storm passes completely through by Monday night. We are near the peak of hurricane season, and it's important to point that out because I've had a lot of questions about whether this is normal or average. And of course, having a 185 mile per hour hurricane like Irma is not normal or average. In fact, Irma is one of the strongest hurricanes ever measured in the Atlantic, but this is the time of year when we would expect a really strong storm. The good news is we're almost over the hump. And then once we get past September 10th, we get a pretty steep decline in hurricane frequency with a secondary little bump there in October as we head into November. So here is your 7-day forecast. Again, Irma, Sunday, Monday, and then things get better as we head further into the work week.